And away we go.
You're listening to Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience, featuring
Mr. Stone Gossard. Fucking Cameron in the truck. Mr. Boom Gasper. You can call me Al, you can call me Ed, you just fucking call me, why don't you?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again. We are the Live on Four Legs Pearl Jam podcast. It's Randy Sobel here with Matthew Helbig, and this is our third installment. How do you feel? We're getting into this, Matt.
Yeah, episode 3. I feel like I say episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, but whatever, man. Episode 3.
Episode 3 means we're actually legit now. We're past the pilot stage. We've gotten approved by the network, and now we're going. People, either they're following along or they're not, or hopefully they're just tuning in.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, we do kind of know. We've seen some numbers. We do have listeners, so that's good.
Yeah, and we thank you guys for that. And hopefully past episode 3, you guys will be interested because we've got some big plans and big ideas. I feel like today is really the first time that we're really getting our hands dirty with this, and we're going back to the future, back to the past here.
We got to reach back into our memories here for this one.
And this is like kind of pre-adult us. I mean, we're adults, but like we're still like straight out of college. So, this is 9 years ago.
2009. It's a long time ago, and it's actually weird looking back, saying, this was Backspacer tour, and it's strange that Backspacer's that old.
It's and it's kind of like you're right. Backspacer. I mean, today we're recording on the 18th. This will drop on the 21st. I think Backspacer came out this week or next week of the 2009. So yeah, 9 years.
It was September 20th, 2009.
Wow, happy birthday!
Happy birthday! So this works out well, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Perfect timing. It wasn't all supposed to go down this way. I think that our initial idea was to have this be the second episode and do one major blockbuster episode of the first 2 Fenways for the first one, but we needed to start a little smaller, and I'm glad that this one is number 3, even though for significant, reasons I wanted this to be number 2. This is my second show ever, but it's number 3. So what?
We have too much to say to be combining shows together into one episode. That would have been just too long, I think.
Yeah, there's all different podcasts that I listen to. The murder ones that you talk about all the time. I listen to some wrestling podcasts, and some of them last 5 hours, and they're only for long car trips. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and at the same time, how many long car trips a week are you doing?
I used to do it all the time, and you do it all the time too, so at least it's out there. But maybe for the person that's going back and listening to this in like 2019 that's just discovering this, we give them time to, on a 3-hour car ride where they're like, oh, I can listen to 2 of them.
Exactly.
Maybe this comes back to haunt us in a year. Who knows?
Maybe in a good way, a good haunting.
Yeah.
Friendly ghost type haunting.
Yeah, it's a Casper and not a, I don't know, who's a bad ghost? Who's a bad ghost? Casper's enemy. It was
Jasper.
Jasper, the not so friendly ghost.
Yeah.
Moving on. There's not much to segue out of that. Just so you guys are aware, we are doing Chicago United Center 2009. This is night 2 that we're doing today, and before we get into it, we have some other things that we're just going to discuss and just chat about, just because it's a podcast, and we want to fulfill our duties of being podcasters. So, Matt, one thing that you texted me this week that was really interesting. What did you find?
As some of you know, I'm a big record collector, and I go to record shows, and they have one on the island every couple months, and it's always the kind of same guys, the old timers. They come out and they sell you their stuff, whatever. So I'm looking through some piles, and this guy says, "Oh, I got these old Grateful Dead magazines." And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Wasn't really that interested, but I thought I'd check them out. And one caught my eye. It's issue number 55 of a magazine called Unbroken Chain. This is a magazine that focuses more on the jam band. It's got 1995, The Year in Review, Fish, one of their Halloween shows, Widespread Panic, and of course there's Phil Lesh from the Grateful Dead kind of right on the front cover. So as I start to look through it, it looks like it's a lot of stats and a lot of information about their shows and their tour. And then right in the middle is a big 2-page spread of basically what this entire podcast is about. It's their entire 1995 year, the statistics for song plays for the entire tour. And it starts off with times played, and it's got a big number of songs. Fire on the Mountain had 5 plays. Let me see. Uncle John's Band had 8 plays. It's, stuff like that. But then they break it down into different things. So they have first set opener, first set closers. They break those down. Second set openers, break those down. Then they have a whole section of what was played in 1994 that wasn't played in 1995. And what I liked? Top of the list, 4 times played in 1994. Baba O'Reilly.
Interesting. I would have never guessed that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I want to look that up. I want to hear it, actually.
And that's crazy because 95 was the year that Jerry Garcia died, right? I want to say it was 95. Like middle of the summer?
That might be right, because they have him in here June 19th, 1995 at Giant Stadium. So he was definitely alive then.
I want to say that Soldier Field was the last show, because the Pearl Jam show in 95 at Soldier Field was the follow-up to the Grateful Dead. And I feel like I read that really recently, that was Jerry's last show.
That sounds like it makes sense, yeah.
That's information we're going to have to bounce back with you on.
Yeah, we'll come back with that. But it's pretty cool. They got a lot of stats here about the spectrum. Yeah, pretty cool. So it was really interesting seeing our idea for a podcast put into print in the mid-90s.
I've always said it, that podcasts are the new magazines. It's kind of like, if you want insider information in the 70s or 80s, you bought like these zines that some guy in his basement made. That was popular. This is my second wrestling reference of the day, but it was popular in the wrestling scene, obviously popular in the punk music scene. And now I feel, because it was kind of a do-it-yourself thing, now I feel like the podcasts have kind of taken over that same idealistic of, trying to get information and trying to get fan bases where you wouldn't necessarily have them. So, you know what? I like talking more than I like writing. So I'm glad we've evolved.
For sure. And, you kind of had to wait the end of an entire tour to see this kind of stuff, where we could go week by week, even during a tour. Sure, their tour's over now, and we're going back into the history, but even as they're touring, you could even go day by day almost with a podcast. But it's pretty cool, waiting throughout all of 1995, wait till this magazine comes out around the 1996 time. I think it says display until July 1st, 1996, and they were pulling them off the shelves. And then you could kind of go back and look at their entire year in review and see, this is what I saw. Let me see what else they were playing. Like, what did I miss out on? Kind of all at the same time. Yeah, pretty cool.
It reminds me kind of, I guess, I don't know about the Pearl Jam magazine phase, if there was one at all, but I know that they were doing Five Horizons up until 2005. And Five Horizons really, it was, while Live Footsteps is really heavy on statistics and measurements of when they played what song, what they did, Five Horizons, what I'm gathering, just reading up a little bit about it, is a lot of that along with reviews and just kind of people that went to the show, or they went to the shows themselves and reviewed it. And now I feel like the reviews, because I was actually looking for reviews from 2009 from the Chicago show that we're doing today, and I couldn't find anything. It's all hidden within social media, because once one show happens, the first Fenway show happens, where you go for reviews for the first couple of days, you go to the groups, you go to the boards, and then once that show is over, it kind of fades into obscurity a little bit, and it's not really archived in the same way that books and magazines and some websites are archived. So I wish we had that, and if anybody knows of a good way to gather that information, that would be extremely helpful.
I mean, we're lucky enough to have what we have with basically every single Pearl Jam show, a record of it in some fashion, which I'm sure a lot of bands have it, but to have such a career and to have everything right there in front of you is pretty great. So yes, maybe sometimes reviews will get lost in the mix, but I also think it has to do with, not that it wasn't tough to get into Pearl Jam concerts back in the day, which, it was, but even back in 2009, you look at some of the live footage from this show, and even compared to now with the stadium shows and their tours, it seems a little bit, I'd say maybe less exclusive. The production is much smaller. They still had opening bands. So I think as they kind of got more and more exclusive to go see, like where it really is this event, I think keeping up with the band historically, I feel like has been taken more seriously now. And now I think that they're at this level. I think people are backtracking to all these old shows, and they're trying to find as much as they possibly can to really kind of fill in the entire history of the band.
I agree with that, and I think that the bootlegs across the years have helped out a lot. They've helped tremendously. Anyway, so yeah, I think we appreciate just the historical aspect of all this. So before we get into doing some Chicago stuff, just kind of do some pre-talk here. I wanted to really talk about 2018 as a whole, because we haven't gotten to it yet in the first two episodes. We were so entranced with just introducing ourselves and talking about what we did in Boston, and it was such a fresh show that now we can kind of sit back and focus on some things that happened this year. So 2018 as a whole, there were 26 shows. There were supposed to be 27. One got rained out in, I believe, Brazil, one of the Lollapalooza shows. And so there ended up being 5 South America shows in March, 4 European shows, and 14 European shows, with about 5 or 6 festivals dispersed in there in Germany, and I think there was a Pink Pop in there as well, and then the 7 home and away shows. So there were 26 shows in total. It was fun to follow along with this the whole summer, because in Europe they're going on at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, so it's middle of the day. I'm working at home, and I know sometimes you were at the club and you were able to tune in, but man, just thank you to everybody that was able to put up a live feed on that and put it on Facebook and Periscope, because that was a lot of fun to pay attention. I've never done it like that before.
Yeah, aside from some bad feeds, which didn't happen that much. Got pretty lucky with the feeds from the shows.
I would say, yeah. I mean, sometimes it would bounce back and forth, where you have to dig for one and then go onto the boards again and dig for another. But to not pay for that, like that's pretty awesome, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah. You take what you can get, and it wasn't that bad.
Halfway through, maybe like a little less than halfway through the European shows, the first London show at the O2, Ed, his voice is shot. They're going through a set. They play about 27 songs in a little over 2.5 hours, and his voice is shot, and you can tell the whole time that he just does not have it. And people from London are saying this is not, something's up with him. He's sick. He keeps saying he's sick. He doesn't have it. And lo and behold, I don't remember if it was the next day or skipped the day and it was the day after, but lo and behold, wake up in the morning and show was canceled, and Ed has to go on voice rest. And when he does, when something like that happens, and the only other time that I can think of that they really had to cancel because of, and this one wasn't canceled, but like just Ed leaving for health reasons, the Golden Gate show where Neil Young filled in 95 around Mirrorball time. That's when Eddie had the stomach virus. I can't think of another time that it happened. I could be wrong because, look, we're still learning just as much as we're trying to teach everybody here. But when that happens, what's going through your head?
Well, a lot of people think that these guys are gods walking amongst men, but they are human, and this happens. And, you know, sometimes as they go on tour and maybe as they're getting a little older, the aggressiveness of what they used to do might not be the best thing for them anymore. And sometimes maybe you might need a few days in between. It's not that they'll stop playing completely, but Eddie is a very, very powerful
And he doesn't let up any of
and
that.
he never lets up. No, he goes 110% every single time, which is what makes him great. But yeah, you got to rest up sometimes. And I don't know if he was thinking he didn't have to, but you do. Everybody does. Every singer has to do that. So maybe they'll take that into consideration when they start longer tours. I hope it doesn't mean the tours get shorter to fill in time for rest.
It's just one of these, it's one of these things where they're going to have to do, instead of doing back-to-back nights at MSG, they're going to have to do a Tuesday and a Thursday or something like
Sure.
that. You know, and those are sacrifices that you have to make in this stage of the game. They're mid-50s, and honestly, I think that I wouldn't be surprised if from their point of view, they're like, we want to do this as long as we possibly can. You know, we don't want to retire doing this, essentially. So, or retire before we have to kind of deal. So if they can do this into their 70s, how can they do this deep into their 70s?
They just have to consider slowing down their incredibly aggressive schedule. These guys are a touring band. They've always been a touring band. They're a studio band. They do everything, and then they
have side projects.
And then they do everything else when they're not doing everything together. So it's great that we keep getting stuff, and it's great that they keep touring, and it's great we're getting a new album, and it's great we'll get another new tour, and it's great that they sounded great on this last one. But
I 100% agree with you. That's why I was totally fine with them taking the night off and Ed resting his voice and coming back. And I think the show that they came back was a festival show, and I looked at the set list, and I think it was like 19 songs long. I'm like, oh no, is that due to it just being a fest, or is it due to they didn't have capacity? And then a few days after that, I think there was maybe one or two shows in between. We get the Rome show, and that just solidifies everything, that it was just a one-time flaw. It was just Eddie got sick, needed to go on voice rest, and if Rome proved everything, it's that they can go back on to capacity in that form.
I would rather see them slow it down a little bit than not see them ever again. And I think you wanted to get to our top 5 sets of 2018. I think.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Rome may have just missed my top because I was.
How dare you?
I was not thrilled with the encore, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh my God!
Actually, Rome and Krakow.
Krakow got cut. What the hell is wrong with you?
Both got cut from my list. Not loving the. Well, you'll see. There are things that I liked better in different encores than this one.
We come from different ideas here. I like sets more based on like, okay, they played that song and wow, that was crazy that they played that song. They haven't played it. You are more all encompassing. How did
I am? Yes.
The whole thing work? I look at all this that I wrote now. They did this and this and this and this and this and this, and I'm seeing it because if I was there, and I'm going to get better at this, if I was there, I can break down the set and critique it better. But if I'm not there, I look at the songs and I'm like, oh crap, they played Fatal? Like, that would have blown my mind if they played Fatal. But you're right, maybe it didn't work in a spot. you gotta sort of critique a little bit. So all right, go ahead with your 5.
All right, and I'm going to make this very, very clear in the beginning. This is in no particular order at all.
Same with mine.
I'm just
I can't do that.
as I wrote them down and cut ones out that I didn't think were as good as the other ones, I went with that. So, going to kick it off with Seattle Night 2.
That obvious no-brainer. Yep.
It's got a little of everything. It's kind of eclectic in a way. Just looks like a lot of fun. Looks like a fun set. I'm trying to look for maybe some standouts. Oh, well, Brain of Jay, of course. There you go. That's probably what...
Thank you.
Yeah, this might actually be one of these sets that I did not even look as a whole because I saw Brain of Jay and it just went to number 1.
When I was watching the feed of that show, when I heard Brain of Jay, I immediately said, fuck, because I said it much louder and much angrier, because I knew that if they were going to play Brain of Jay in Seattle, that was it. They weren't going to do it again for the home away show. So, and I was right.
Yeah, so second one I'm going, actually we just brought it up, Night 202.
Okay, yeah, that's on my list too. Look at that.
Yeah, Green Disease, love it. It's a great just run-through set. Oceans, I'm just over as a song. I don't hate the song. It's just one where if they were to play it live, I'd say, I wish maybe they had played something else. Not that I don't like it. I'm just over it.
Ooh, way to piss some people off there.
I know. It's a cool opener and it's a great song.
Ooh, I've only heard it once, and
Right.
I've been dying for it ever since. It was my last on 10. So watch what you say, sir.
Well, hey, people should know by now I don't really give a shit what you think about what I say. So this one's got Fatal as well. I really like Mind Your Manners in the first encore.
They had to do something
Right.
for canceling, and for all the people that traveled. They had to do something special. Fatal and Around the Bend were 2 that stuck out to me that were ones that they don't usually do. And Satan's Bed too.
I like the Watchtower ending too.
Yeah,
Better Man crossed off, as you and I always say. It's whatever, we see it every single time, but there's really no bad performance of Better Man, so it probably would have been pretty good. Moving on, number 3, another easy night, Prague. I like Prague a lot.
Prague, I think, was on my first cuts list.
You got State in there. Did they, now Indifference wasn't crossed off, but did they do it in Prague? It looks like it was an add-on, but I'm not sure if they actually did it.
You know what? I don't know. I know they only did Indifference 5 times the whole year. I think it was 5. It was either 4 or 5, but I'm not sure of the specifics.
I really don't know how this one could make your cut. You're looking at Nothing Man, Corduroy, Brain of Jay, Evolution, Tremor Christ, Lightning Bolt, Dissident. How do you go wrong with that group?
Because you left Rome and Krakow off your list.
I did.
And that's why it was really hard. And my other one, I don't know if my last one is on your list or not. So what's your other 2?
Other 2, Padova,
Which one was Padova?
Pendulum, Low Light.
Oh.
That one's got God's Dice. That one's got Not For
Yeah,
You.
yeah.
That's one of the other Red Mosquito plays, but they also have Down.
You love to use them down.
Yep. I think Crazy Mary is on most of my sets, actually. Big reason for my Padova pick is the Indifference ender and not the Yellow Ledbetter. So also an Encore 2 Smile opener, which I like, and Jeremy Crossoff. So I'm all in on this set.
Cool. And your last one?
My last one, I just feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't add this, but Fenway Night 2. Only because, as I told you, as I was going through these sets, a lot of them were killed for me because of, just some shoddy encore choices that I felt weren't as good. For the most part, main sets across the board were all pretty good and pretty consistent, but I think they kind of shit the bed on some encores, so that had a big factor in me picking these sets. So we got Seattle Night 2, O2 Night 2, Prague, Fenway 2, and Padova. Those are my sets of 2018.
Well, obviously Fenway 2 is in my list. I didn't want to play bias towards it because I feel like that's kind of like you're naming your favorite baseball players of all time, and you were to say, Darryl Strawberry, because you grew up watching him because you're a Mets fan. That he's obviously not one of the best players of all time.
Well, no, but I mean, one of my favorites is Keith Hernandez. So.
Oh, of course, and God knows that he should be in a Hall of Fame. But
yeah,
that if you want to do the first base conversation, yeah, he's there. Anyway, that's conversation for another time.
Yeah, you could also throw in the Battle of the Mustache, too, with other first basemen.
Oh, no, there's no question. He wins all the time.
Well, Don
You know
Mattingly is pretty epic as well.
He can have the eye black.
All right.
Give him.
There you go. Perfect.
Mattingly I told you to trim those sideburns on Shane.
Yep. I'm just going to say I'm going to throw in there with Fenway Night 2. It's not even a bias. It's even if we weren't at this show, it would have made my list.
It would have made my list too if we weren't at the show. Yeah, that's for sure.
But the simple fact that you were at the show is you had to leave it off.
Yeah, just because I just didn't want to play Homer. You know.
No, I'm playing favorites on this one. That's the point. You got to play your favorite.
You put Darryl up there with Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron. Go ahead.
Hey, you could do a lot worse than Darryl Strawberry. Let me tell you.
Absolutely can. You absolutely can. All right, my top 5: Seattle 2.
Yep.
Again, Brain of Jay. That's my white whale at the moment that I would absolutely flip out for. So if anybody has any connection with the band for, whenever the next show I go to, that they can just kind of whisper in their ear, Brain of Jay, Randy from that podcast wants it.
Or if any of you guys in the band are listening to this podcast.
That's more of a white whale, but now, yes, notice to you guys, set makers out there. The Search and Destroy and the Encore, to me, that made the show with everybody there, missing the tribute to Cornell, and
Yep.
that all made the show. Footsteps, second song in, again, awesome. Krakow is second on my list.
Wow.
Other Side, Of the Girl opener, Green Disease, All or None, songs that you never get to hear. Awesome, just awesome set list. I remember streaming that the whole time, and I was just every single time they played something of it, my jaw was just dropped to the floor. Rome, just another one. Again, 35 songs, and it was literally a week after Ed had went on voice rest, and you're telling me that was kind of a meh encore. They played Black Diamond, man. I know you're not a Kiss fan, but shit.
Who is a Kiss fan?
Oh my God. I know them. They're out there.
And you can't say Gene Simmons.
No, he's probably less of a Kiss fan than most people are.
He's just a
He's a
Simmons
kid.
fan.
Well, yeah, he's a Kiss fan for the money, for sure. Well, Matt Cameron's a Kiss fan. He sings it.
I think the guys over in Foo Fighters are Kiss fans too, right?
That would make a lot of sense.
Probably make a lot of sense.
Anyway, last two. London 2, like we mentioned before. My last one that we didn't even mention, didn't have in common, Berlin. And
Yeah, you know what I meant to say? Berlin was, I kind of had a hard time crossing that one off, but that was up there as well.
well, the thing with me in Berlin is that watching the stream of it, during Porch, everybody throwing their cup holders in the air. It was just such a cool scene. They were throwing them on stage, and it just looked like such a freaking cool frenzy. The atmosphere, it was one of the only non-festival shows in Europe that was outside, so it just had this this really cool feeling. It looked like it was during the day for the most part.
Yeah.
It looked like it was still light out. So
The venue is very like Pink Floyd at Pompeii. It looks old. It looks
Very German.
That's a place I would love to see a show in.
oh, me too. Like that tent that they have up, that the stage was under.
Yeah.
It looked like you go there for like Oktoberfest, and you sit under the tent and you eat sausage and drink beer and eat pretzels. Like that's, it felt so traditional that like just seeing everything, the visualization with the set list, tons of no code, In My Tree Sometimes, Habit, and Red Mosquito. Like that's all freaking awesome. So my 5 again: Seattle 2, Krakow, Rome, Berlin, London 2, and Fenway 2 is an obvious add-in if you want to say that I'm not being biased, but I am.
Right, and my add-on would be Krakow if I could add a sixth.
Okay.
Really, anything with green disease on it, I could get on board with.
Fenway should add Green Disease, but I digress.
Ugh, I know.
All right, so let's take a second to mention some things that we're doing with Patreon. Matt, take it away.
Okay, we started our Patreon page, and this is a chance for you guys to show some support other than listening and subscribing, which we are also very appreciative of. We are not looking for money handouts, of course. People want you to donate to pay a salary. Randy and I are not interested in taking any kind of profit. Everything that's donated goes towards the podcast, whether it be merchandise or meetups or giveaways, anything like that.
It goes back to you, too. It's not just us. It goes back to stuff that we want to do for you.
It all comes back. We have all the listeners in mind. We're not looking to make any money. Also, a big thing that we're going to be setting up is we're going to be doing a lot of charitable donations and charities, too. We have some ideas for that in the works, so keep an eye out on our Patreon page, and we'll have different goals set up where you could donate for different charities. We'll be able to go into more detail with that in the upcoming months. We have some stuff for Thanksgiving and Christmas that we're going to put together, but right now, on Patreon, we have a goal set up, and it's to get you guys some merchandise up in a store, or if you just want to donate for the hell of it. But we do have giveaways and incentives, of course. Like we said, we don't want to just take your money. We want to make sure that you get something for it. So should I go down the list of rewards for donating?
Yeah.
Okay. A top tier is a $40 donation. You'll receive an exclusive Live on Four Legs t-shirt, which we'll be revealing soon. A Live on Four Legs sticker. You'll get a shout out on the show. And kind of a cool little thing here, the opportunity to pick an episode. We want you to tell us what Pearl Jam show to cover on the podcast. So that'll be in your hands, and we'll try to research it as best we can, or we'll just have you on the show with us. Next, we have a $20 donation. That's where we're going to be giving away special gift bundles consisting of merchandise from the 2018 home away shows. This is big time while supplies last. We don't have enough stuff to give away to 100 $20 donators, but we do have a bunch of stuff that we stocked up from these shows. Good mix of stuff. It'll be random, but we'll try to get you stuff that you don't have. Sorry, we don't have posters, but we'll try to get some of those next time. Along with that, you'll also get a Live on Four Legs sticker and a shout out on the show. Next up, we have a $10 donation. That's a shout out on the show, and you'll get a Live on Four Legs sticker. We're going to give you one of our Live on Four Legs print sets that we had in Boston with us. And Randy and I will write you a nice little thank you letter and send it over to you with all the stuff. If you donate $5, you'll get a Live on Four Legs sticker, and you'll get one of those nice little thank you letters from Randy and I. Also, a shout out on the show. And if you donate $1, you'll get a shout out on the show from Randy and I. Now, the only thing that we have to mention here is, as of right now, shipping must be limited to the lower 48 states. But if you are listening to us from overseas or Canada, wherever you might be, and you become a Patreon, we'll have some gifts for you. Basically, let us know how we could pay you back. We could have you call in. You could submit a suggestion for an episode. We'll give you a shout out on the show, and we'll add your name to the list of patrons that have donated towards charitable organizations. So every dollar will go directly towards charity. So yeah, we need your help to bring you the best stuff that we can, and we want to keep this going, and we want you guys to look good. So donate and reach out. You know, like I said, a lot of it's going to be going towards charity and towards a good cause and the less fortunate.
And just in 1 week, in a little less than 1 week's time, we already have 3 patrons, 3 people that donated, so they are getting their shout out in episode 3. Shout out to our I'm so sorry. Aurelian from France. I am not French, and if I butchered it, I'm sorry, and we'll give you another shout out next week if you let us know what we butchered.
And if you're listening, shoot us a message. I know I was talking to you on Instagram. Shoot us a message and let us know how we could pay you back for your donation. If you have an idea for a show, if you want to give a call in, since we're not doing international shipping right now, hit us up and we'll figure something out for you.
Yep.
But thank you.
So our friend from France, Aurelian, Sal Espinoza, and John Farrar. Those are our patrons for this week, and we give a shout out to you guys. You guys are our OGs. We love you guys. We hope you continue to listen, and we hope to provide you with the best content possible for
Yes.
weeks and weeks and weeks. And
We
weeks.
have you guys marked down for the rewards. We're just letting this go for a couple more weeks into October, and then we'll be getting in touch with you where to send your gifts for donating. So thank you guys.
All right. Now on to something that might be the reason why you tuned into the podcast. But wait, there's more. So, Chicago, 2009, United Center. They have not played since. And it was a 2-night event in August where they were doing kind of small tours at the time. It was pre-Backspacer, and it was kind of, I guess, Backspacer hype, so to speak. I think they did a little bit overseas and a little bit around the country here and there, maybe some festivals over the summer, but this 2-night in Chicago was a pretty big deal at the time, and you were at night one. I was not. I had started my wonderful, awesome job that I am no longer at with a popular television company. You were at night one, and you were there with Steve, so what do you remember from it?
Looking back on the set, I did not listen to the bootleg of this one, but it was 2009. They were pretty much crushing it at every single show. Nothing really to say negatively.
I regret missing this show because there are in total 5 songs, 4 originals that played the show that I had never seen before. God's Dice, Sad, Man of the Hour, and Supersonic. And I would have killed Sad and Man of the Hour. God, 2 of my favorites. Supersonic finishes Backspacer for me, and God's Dice is another great one off of Binaural. So that was night one, and I have no recollection from it because I was probably at work until 3 o'clock in the morning. But what happened was how old were we? 23? So my experience being on planes, I don't know if that was the first time that I'd ever gone on a plane by myself, or if I just hadn't done it in a long time until then. I got to the airport really early. I'm like, okay, get everything ready. I'm sitting at the terminal with my headphones in. I'm just minding my own business. And I guess my flight was at 10:30, let's say. And this is day of show. 10:30 comes around. I'm like, hey, just curious, when are you guys calling people up? They're like, you know that it's supposed to be a half hour before. And I'm like, wait, what? Can I get on now? And they're like, no, we're about to take off. Like, yeah, but the plane's still there. Can I get on? No, we're about to take off. I completely missed boarding calls, and they were apparently calling my name over the loudspeaker, and I was just sitting there minding my own business, listening on my headphones.
Didn't you realize everybody around you getting up and walking away?
Yeah, I probably did. I probably didn't. Who knows? It took me a while before I really figured out what my intelligence level was in this life, and now I feel like I'm at a point where I know stuff better now. I guess at that time I was just not I was not up on it, and
Oh boy, you live and learn.
yeah. So, all right. So poster from this night, Matt, the poster snob. You don't like this particular poster. It is of a space creature that looks a little bit suggestive. I'll put it that way.
There's a DNA strand space creature with a dickhead. Let's call it what it is, Randy. And
Okay.
and it's
You can.
and it's chasing people around. And this poster sucks. It's just ugly. It's by Dan Perkins, who goes by Tom Tomorrow, and he did the artwork for Backspacer. So it makes sense that he did the artwork for the poster. Back then, before they were doing multiple posters for 2-day stints at the same location. But yeah, just a weird poster, strange poster, not pleasing to look at. And again, this is just my opinion, and I would love for you guys to write into us on Facebook and tell me why you like the poster. because it's funny. I rather enjoy his work on the Backspacer album cover, and I like his other posters that he's done for Pearl Jam as well. This one is just, I'm not sure what was going on.
Yeah, I have this one. It's not my least favorite, and it's not my favorite. It's somewhere, I don't know, probably bottom middle-ish. I don't know.
Your least favorite is Hartford, right?
No, Hartford?
I thought you didn't like that poster.
The gorilla?
Yeah.
I love the gorilla.
Oh.
No, nobody else likes the gorilla.
Oh, I love the gorilla.
It.
Oh, okay. I thought you were one of the other people. Okay, good. No, I like that poster too.
No. Oh, it's simple, but it's just, yeah, I love it. I mean, it reeks of beer. I accidentally dipped it in beer. They didn't have any poster tubes left. That was the last time I made that mistake.
I'm not even going to ask you how that happened. I'm just going to let you keep going.
We'll get to that episode at some point. So before the band begins to play, anyway, we actually endure an opener here, and they announced the opener, I want to say a week and a half before the show. And when they announced the opener was Bad Religion, I lost my shit. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. I was into the punk scene, and I had seen Bad Religion about, I don't know, 4 or 5 times before this, and even had the first time I was supposed to see them, the show got canceled. So when they announced Bad Religion, I was freaking the fuck out. I was so happy. And yeah, even a 13-song set here, they were fucking money. They were gold. They were awesome.
There's something about seeing Graffin live. He's so good.
It's like he's a preacher.
Yes.
He does this thing with his hand. He puts his hand out. He's almost like reaching out to you.
Yep. He points to people. He's got a PhD from Cornell.
He sure does, in social sciences.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
you could tell he's just like a smart guy. He's intellectual with his writing. It's not just punk for punk's sake. You could tell this guy,
right.
He knows what he's talking about.
And not only that, but you wouldn't think this with a band like that, but Bad Religion writes all of their songs on piano and acoustic before translating them to punk.
Yeah, and I could see that being a good way to record stuff like that, because almost like if you can get it to sound good in a stripped-down acoustic folk type setting, I think there's more room for you to expand on it.
Sure does. And not only that, but if you're a Bad Religion fan and haven't heard Greg Graffin's solo work, and if you're not a Bad Religion fan and haven't heard Greg Graffin's solo work, go hear Greg Graffin's solo work, please. Oh my God, Cold as the Clay. Oh my God, it's very folksy. It's very Midwest. It's very it's that style, but it's just tremendous, tremendously written, tremendously talented. He had a newer album. I think it came out about a year ago that I listened to once, and again, blown away. They're just that very rare breed of band from that era that lasted all these years. I just saw something pop up on my Facebook today that a week ago was the 30th anniversary of Suffer.
Wow.
Yeah, that came out in 1988. So they've been doing this a long, long time. Anyway, let's rock. Let's get into Pearl Jam.
Here we are once again. Good evening. Paint a picture. Tell the story, but no one will listen that long. It's hard to imagine imagine. It's hard to
This, I think, is a surprise to a lot of people in the arena that night because it's such a rare song as it is, and overall, including this night, it has only been played 8 times as an opener. And since that night, it's only been played 10 times overall. So that's, man, hard to imagine is, again, this is my second show, so knowing a little bit more to what to expect, but not expecting the unexpected. I guess I figured it was going to be Releaser Oceans or something, and getting Hard to Imagine was just kind of flabbergasting. And I don't know if I appreciated it as much at that time as I would have appreciated it now, and I'll be saying that a little bit throughout the rest of this breakdown, but that's a great opener.
I also like on the setlist website, it says 41 times played by 2 artists. And I said two artists. So it says first played in concert May 13th, 1993 by Pearl Jam. Most recently played August 11th, 2018 by No Code, the Pearl Jam tribute band at Romanowski Beer Garden in Westfield, New Jersey. So thanks, No Code, for playing Hard to Imagine.
Yeah, right. At least they're not going chalk. They probably went right into Daughter, though, right?
I don't know. I'd have to look up their set list.
After their fans all went to get beer.
Yeah, I kind of want to go see them. So if the guys in No Code are listening, shoot us a message. Let us know where we could see you guys next.
The next time from this show that it would get played would be 84 shows later in 2012 in Berlin. So if anybody's listening out there, Hard to Imagine should get played a lot more. Not much more to say about that. The great placement there. And we go right into Corduroy, which is in its rightful number 2 spot. And from Corduroy, we go into number 3.
Matter not to me, no. No more crowbars to my head, yeah. Oh, I'm playing these boys with toys instead, yeah.
So we're going to get to the set list and how it was coordinated in a second, but I played the clip of In My Tree here because I find it so strange that they've gone through big gaps of time without playing the song, which is, to me, I guess, like when Jack left the band. I understand that that was a Jack song and that was his live moment. But they still, looking at it, this version, it hadn't been played since 2006 before they played it this night. So 73 show absence. And even though it's a Jack song, Matt's just killing it the whole time.
It's a great song too. But yeah, that's a pretty big gap. And
not only that, so it's not the first time they've done it. So they've gone other long stretches without playing it. 48 shows between 05 and 06. 69 shows between 2000 and 2003. And 63 shows between what was probably the Jack Irons absence in 98 and 2000. So
gotcha.
That's just, for a song that, speaking to a lot of fans around this time period, Still trying to figure out my Pearl Jam legs and what was going to be my all-time favorite songs and everything. I feel like everybody that I ever asked said In My Tree was their favorite song, like growing up. And then once they got older, Breath became their favorite song. All right, so let's continue on here.
Oh, Randy, I just want to let you know that the most recently played version of In My Tree was by No Code, the Pearl Jam tribute band, at Teak Rooftop in Red Bank, New Jersey on September 9th, 2018.
Man, they did that whole New Jersey tour, huh? When are they getting to Patterson? And
Well, I'm guessing they're from New Jersey.
yeah, that sounds better. I hope they listen.
Yeah, me too.
This is the second time we've plugged them. This goes from In My Tree into Last Exit, and from Last Exit into All Night. And before the song, Eddie, pretty much every time he's ever played All Night, says, "We're here, we got all night." Okay, cool. Thanks, Ed. It was the 11th time they had ever played it out of 26 overall, so it's a pretty rare one, but I've seen it 5 times, and I saw it at my first show in 08. So every time that I see it, I'm kind of like, oh, this is my rare song for the night? Not crazy about it. And
It's kind of your rare song for your life now. You're probably just going to keep getting it.
Yeah, and it's not one of my... I like the song. I think I like it more on a live recording, but live, it's...
I like it a lot because it's just it's a great classic rock song. It's got a great sound. It's a great live song.
See, listening to it live, like at the show, being there at the show, listening to it, I can't get into it as much. And maybe hearing it so often early on has exposed me to it, but never's been one of my favorite live songs. But I like listening to the bootleg and listening to it back. They were tight on this.
Randy, if you want to get into it, this is where maybe we could talk about a problem that you and I both have with this set list, and that's
That No Code played this in Newark last week.
No, is that the order of this set list is kind of lopsided, I feel.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that we agree and disagree at the same point. So
we both agree that it is a strange order. We might disagree on where we would put songs, but we both agree that we wouldn't have written it out this way, at least.
Yeah. All right. So how would you have done it?
Okay. First of all, you have to think of content of the song. So Up All Night being in number 5 is dumb. I think that needed to be, if you do it at all, I mean, listen to what the song's about. I mean, don't do it number 5. Do it number 3, 2, I don't know. Because, we like Corduroy in the number 2 spot. But it's not really working here with these songs. I would do Hard to Imagine, then I would do In My Tree, then I would do Corduroy.
Oh, we're completely different.
In My Tree, I think, has better build-up into a faster pace. If you need to do Corduroy second, I would not follow it with In My Tree. I would follow it with Last Exit, and then I probably would have All Night. I wouldn't have All Night in there at all, actually.
Here's my thing. So at this time, they weren't really doing the slow build. That didn't come until about the Lightning Bolt tour. So if they were doing the slow build, I would say like Hard to Imagine, then a Low Light, then an In My Tree, and then a Corduroy. That would be fantastic. But they weren't doing it that time. So I'm sort of, I wouldn't place it there, especially if we're going back at that point. I would do it this way. I would keep Hard to Imagine and Corduroy there, and I would just kind of jump In My Tree. I would go Corduroy to Last Exit to All Night to In My Tree. Then they can stop and talk and go into Nothing Man.
Right, but we also have a problem with or at least I have a problem with where Nothing Man sits.
I think that's an okay spot for it.
Well, let's talk about it. Do you have anything to say about Nothing Man?
I had no notes on Nothing Man. I thought that this was the Nothing Man version where Ed did the Nazi salute and talked about the Nazi salute, but it's not. That's a story for another time. Before Nothing Man, Ed did say that this crowd that was a Monday felt more like a Sunday night crowd than Sunday night crowds did, and I don't know. I don't know if Ed was really digging the crowd because he asked a couple times. He's like, "You guys in it? You guys in it?" And anyway, and maybe he was just trying to psych himself up. Okay, so we're gonna play a clip of this here. Yeah.
When something's dark, let me shed a little light on it. When something's cold, let me put a little fire on it. When something's cold, I wanna put a little shine on it. When something's cold, I wanna fight to get it back again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fight to get it back again.
So the Fixer, it's the 9th time that it was ever played, and I guess during this whole August tour, the Backspacer promotion really started before the tour, and the Fixer was the single. It was the one, and it was like we said, a month before it came out. It's almost 9 years old now, and the video came out, and I remember the commercials. And the commercials have the Fixer video, and at the end, you see the stamp on it. It says, Target exclusive album. How did you feel about Pearl Jam becoming a big box exclusive to a big box place?
I have no feeling about it. The Who said it the best, Isn't The Who considered one of the very first bands to sell out, and so they played up the whole...
Well, they wrote an album called Who Sells Out.
They played up the whole thing, and I'm pretty sure it was The Who. I'm gonna have to look this up, but they said if you need to sell out to keep the music alive, then do it. So who knows?
But did they need to?
Well, in their mind, or in the studio's mind, or in the company's mind, did Avocado not do as well as they hoped? Were Pearl Jam in some kind of trouble? Did they need to sell more records?
No, I thought Avocado did pretty well. I don't have the numbers for either record on me to tell you, where one sold well and what they were on the Billboard charts, but I remember Avocado doing pretty well. It was about a 4-year layoff from Riot Act.
So before you go into thinking, oh, this is wrong for this to be a Target exclusive for Pearl Jam, blah, 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 blah.
I never said it was wrong.
No, I'm talking about everybody.
In general, okay.
Think of it this way. Do you think Pearl Jam for 1 second would have done it if they weren't okay with it?
No.
No, of course they wouldn't have. So there was something going on, something in their minds. They did it for a reason, and they did it. And it's not the mid-'90s anymore where they're getting banned from MTV or anything like that. You got to run with the changes, and you got to change with the times. If they want to sell out a Target, sell out a Target. I go to Target every day. I don't care.
And you know what? I'm happy that it was a place like Target that I'm okay stepping into. If it was a Walmart, then I'm like, I really got to go into Walmart.
Agreed.
Buy this.
I agree.
So Target, I'm okay going into Target. It's clean, and I like to scrummage through the toys. But
I got that red card, man. 5% off everything.
Sure, yeah, you have to.
You gotta.
Overall, I guess maybe at first I was kind of like, what the fuck? What the fuck are they doing? But I bet you almost nobody remembers it now. Because at that point, everybody was starting to buy off iTunes anyway. So what did it matter?
And I think nothing of it because I like hard copies. I'm a vinyl collector. I like getting the CDs. I like having it in my car. And places like Best Buy and Target aren't carrying CDs anymore at all. So,
well, YouTube releases puts an album in everybody's pocket now. That's what happens. All right, so that was Fixer, and we go from Fixer into Even Flow. And
so I just wanted to say before we forget and go off on a bunch of tangents, if we had changed nothing from Hard to Imagine to All Night, I would have put the Fixer in the number 6 spot and Nothing Man in the number 7. Because the Fixer is not as heavy as All Night, and it's not as loud or fast, I guess you could say.
Right.
So I think that would have maybe step the energy down, especially for a new song. You know, it might not be as familiar yet.
Right.
Then you do Nothing Man. I think putting Nothing Man in between All Night and The Fixer is a very weird place to do that. And
but does it give you the barrier before Fixer where you're saying, okay, here's a cool down, and now we're going to give you something that's new and fresh. So if you like it, you're going to kind of remember it because it kind of came after a small cooldown period.
No, only because I feel like The Fixer works better for an interlude into a cooldown.
Okay. Well, maybe it does now, but did it back then? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, I guess they would know better from playing new songs live, of course. Yeah, no, I think it serves better. And listen, it's one song away. It's 6 or 7. It's still early in the set. I think that wouldn't really make a difference where it is, unless. But it makes the difference what's coming before or after it. And I think Nothing Man out of All Night before The Fixer, I don't think it really works there.
We're really, man, we're getting deep into this one. I like it, but let's continue getting a little deep, even with Even Flow here. And I'm going to bring this up for the first time because this being my second show, even during Even Flow, I said, okay, piss break. And I remember doing that because I knew it was a 10-minute song, and I knew where the bathroom was. I was going to run to the bathroom, and during Mike's solo, I was going to come back. And second show. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna say it. Should Even Flow be your piss break? Or is it disrespectful? Or is it just do whatever you got to do? But like, if you're going to 100 shows, you've seen Even Flow 98, and you gotta pee because you're drinking all day. I get it, but again, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't play it, right?
They should always play Even Flow. I will say they should always play it. Now, it could be your piss break, I say, if you really need to go. But, I mean, come on. I mean, you've seen it 100 times, and it's awesome every time. They start it, and you say, oh, Even Flow again. But halfway through, you're like, this is awesome. I have no problem hearing it live because it's gonna come up. As long as it sounds good every time, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a song that, honestly, like, Mike tears it up. Cameron, for some parts, this is Cameron's one time to shine. So, like, in my later years of going, I've gotten rid of the piss break mantra, and I've sat there and I've just kind of said, okay, it's Even Flow time, and I've tried to appreciate it a lot more. However, there are people that just don't appreciate it, and Ed confronts one of them. So listen to this.
How's that for Mr. Mike McCready on the right-hand guitar? He has to play that song or else he'll fucking kill somebody. And I have a nominee for, Mike, next time you don't play that song, this guy right here. This guy, he's wearing a shirt that says, no Even Flow. I suggest you kill him first. I know you can take him by yourself, but if you need help, You know, the thing is, sir, we take requests, not orders. You should know better than that.
They take requests and not orders, Matt. You can't put it any better than that.
You're there to see them play. They're not there to hear your opinion on their biggest song of all time.
Right, and honestly, like, there's always going to be, 20% of the audience that has never seen them at all, seeing them for the first time. And I remember one of the Fenway shows in 2016, some people were sitting in front of us, and they looked like they were in their 40s, standing there, kind of bobbing their head a little bit. But they play Even Flow. 9 song in, like here, and they're like, oh, okay, I know this one. They bob a little hard. And it's not for the person that has been there 100 times that goes to the bathroom. It's for the person that gets the chance to bob a little hard.
Pearl Jam's good about that. They know that everyone there is probably diehard, has seen them a lot. And they put a lot into the day, into getting tickets, which is the number one hurdle, into traveling, into whatever it is. But they also are aware that at every single show there are first-timers. And we met a lot of first-timers. We meet a lot of first-timers every time we go to a Pearl Jam show.
And a lot of them are kids.
Yeah, and I really...
Like young kids, 16 years old.
Yeah, sure, and that's fantastic. But I really appreciate... Listen, say you don't want to listen to Even Flow, or you don't want to listen to Alive, or you don't want to see these. The fact of the matter is they're playing to every single person in that crowd, and I really appreciate that. And they're going to do that forever. So get used to it, or
go to the bathroom.
Or go to the bathroom. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, so we go from Even Flow into a song that the people are probably zipping up their flies and running back to their seat to go see, and it's present tense.
You know that's what I would be doing.
Oh, of course.
Love this song live. Love this song live.
Me too. I feel like at this time I didn't appreciate No Code as much as I do now back then. I feel like No Code and Binaural were sort of near the bottom, and I was very heavy into verses, very heavy into Vitalogy and Yield, obviously, but No Code wasn't heavy on my list, and I apologize to my 9-year-ago self for not being smart enough to realize that that's my second favorite album today.
I'm with you on that, and I told you that No Code has recently just replaced verses for me in that spot as well.
Incredible.
I don't know if it was just underappreciated or what, but yeah, let's take this moment to apologize to our younger selves.
That's okay. We all make mistakes.
It's okay. I forgive you and you forgive me.
And I forgive me. Ed talks after this and mentions Bad Religion and thanks the fans in front for coming up and watching him. Says he heard him for the first time when he was 16. Think about that. We mentioned that Suffer was 30 years old. Ed was probably in Bad Radio in 88. So,
right.
They still rock out like they're 16. Said they hadn't played with Bad Religion since 95, since the Soldier Field show, which I mentioned before. And this one that was played that night is dedicated to Greg and the Boys, and it was Whipping. And we go from Whipping into Not For You. And out of 11 songs, can you guess how many were Vitalogy?
5.
5. That's awesome. That's an awesome start, I would say. What do you think?
I thought they had 7 for this set altogether, because this is a crazy mix set, diversity-wise, which I really love, even with Lost Dogs and covers.
It's very true. Daughter up next with Another Brick in the Wall tag. If you can call it that, I guess. Yeah. I guess the Another Brick in the Wall tag is better than the Blitzkrieg Bop tag, because they're not really tags.
You know what they were calling those that aren't quite tags? They were calling them snippets.
Snippets. Yeah.
It's like a snippet, which is just stupid. It's a tag.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing is, I don't
want to say snippet again.
No, but like I get a tag for It's Okay as a tag because
right.
they're playing the actual song. But for both of these, for Brick in the Wall and Blitzkrieg Bop, they don't play the song. They just kind of go with whatever rhythm they had and sing the lyrics to it. Correct. So whatever you want to call it, fine. I call it rubbish because I would rather hear WMA or It's Okay 100 times out of 100. So
it's like a blurb. I don't know.
I wrote down here in my notes, it's Eddie reciting some words.
It's like George Costanza needs to get the Time magazine because there's a blurb about him. It's kind of like that.
All right, move on. We're middle of the set, we're rocking. And from Daughter into Brother.
Such a cool song.
Yeah. since this is not heard live very often in their history, we'll get to that in a sec. Let's listen to it real quick.
I would love to listen to a snippet of Brother, if that's okay with you, Randy.
No, I'd rather tag it.
All right, let's do it with Brother Tag.
Hand over my face, I'm relating to my enemy. Like a house on fire, every brother and brother trying to put the blame on me. Oh, little sister, you and me can rise above. Oh, little brother, back, baby, yeah.
So is that more of a snippet or a tag?
It depends on how I edit it. I'm going to edit it into a tag. I'll let it go a little longer.
Okay, so Ed intros it and says it's older than their oldest song, and it's old enough to drive, and soon it'll be old enough to drink.
Jeez.
And now it's about 27 years old, probably.
Yeah.
This was the 6th time they played this out of 8 overall. And
Wow.
a lot of it, they played a little bit during this time period because the 10 Redux came out around here. Remember that Brother was released on Lost Dogs instrumental without any lyrics. So then we got Brother on the 10 Redux, and it had lyrics. So that was the first time we'd ever heard anything from that. And you know what would be cool? If they did Daughter, Brother, My Father's Sons, and then they covered Pink Floyd Mother.
Ooh, I like that.
Or they did the whole Mama song.
Then they could do some Mamas and Papas. Big Brother and the Holding Company.
That was Janis Joplin.
We can keep going, but we're not going to. It was, yeah.
So they played it once in 91, went nearly 800 shows, 798 shows, without it being played until Calgary in 2009, which was the same tour. And the last time it's been played today, 2010 in New Jersey is the last time it's been played. And we are still sitting on however many shows that is from 8 years ago.
Was it No Code, the Pearl Jam tribute band that played it in New Jersey?
No, they just tagged Daughter with it.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It goes from Brother into Gone, which is another one that they haven't played a lot since this show. 3 times since the show and 42 overall, and my question is why? This is an Avocado one, so this is all you, Harry.
Yeah, it's funny. This is a song that whenever I see, I'm like, oh, Gone, I know the song. I always mistake it for something, and I don't even have an example because I don't know what I mistake it for. It's always just this one song. It's really like a peppy, kind of upbeat, fun song, and I think whenever I think Gone, I think of more like a Black.
Because it has 2 emotions to it. It starts off sad, and the reason why I feel like it might get lost in the shuffle is because Inside Job and Come Back from the same album, which are almost in that order with Army Reserve and the Reprise thrown in there, those are like the 2 that you pull out from Avocado and say, like, those are the heavy tracks.
Right.
And maybe Gone gets lost in the shuffle, especially live.
Right.
Because, I've seen Come Back a bunch of times live after, as a tribute to people that have passed, and man, that's an emotional live song. Inside Job I've only seen once and maybe not appreciated as much at the time, but I would kill to see it again. So, but Gone, like, if I heard Gone, I'd be like, oh, cool, all right, yeah, they're playing Gone, that's awesome, but I don't think I would come out of the night saying, oh my God, they played Gone.
It's not a song where I would walk away from the end of a night and say, oh, I wish they had played Gone. Because, like I said, it kind of, like we were just talking about, it kind of gets lost a little bit. We kind of forget about it until it's played, and then you're like,
Right.
what's the name? This is Gone. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's a weird song like that. I don't know. I don't know why my brain works that way, why your brain works that way with it.
The deep cut.
Yeah, you know what? They just kind of slipped it in there on this set.
Yeah. You know what other song from that album has turned into deep cut that people have forgotten about? Marker in the Sand. I love that song.
So do I.
Gone into something if you need it. I'm not sure what it is, but if you need it, it's there because they got some. And at the time, through that whole Backspacer tour in 2010, that's fine. If they were going to play Got Some anyway, I didn't mind it. I think it was not until later, a couple of years later, that they were still playing it, that I'm like, okay, off that album, that's not the song that should be sticking around. I thought that, like, Unthought Known obviously stuck around, but Gonna See My Friend should have stuck around, not Got Some. So that's part of my distaste for it. So
It was a single, and they're selling it in Target, so you knew it was going to be around to stay forever.
Yep, but at this point I didn't mind it, and we go to Got Some to Do the Evolution, and from Do the Evolution, Alive.
Yes.
So Alive plays here, and this was the only time I haven't seen it in its rightful throne in the
Correct.
The semi-closing spot of going into Rockin' the Free World, Ledbetter kind of combo.
You have Even Flow and Alive both in set one.
Yeah, which makes Encore 1 and 2 extremely unpredictable. And
Exactly.
I don't think I realized that at the time. I think when you go to more shows onward and forward, you pick up on the trends a little more. But at the time, I'm like, oh, they just played Alive, and it closed out a set, and it makes sense because it's Alive.
Let's not say that it doesn't make sense. It makes complete sense, but it also adds to the shock of seeing them, because that's different. I'd be surprised if they were to ever do that again, but again, that's the shock. We could go next year, and they could be doing that all the time. Who knows?
I hope they change it up just a little bit. I know it's in that spot for a reason, because it's just it gives you this like warm feeling of like we went through this 28 song just monster set, and it's kind of like that. I mean, it's the ultimate arena rock song with that. I've always said Alive, Welcome to the Jungle, and Back in Black are like the three best songs that you can hear in an arena. And I've only heard one of them in an arena, by the way. So
don't forget, and I'm not a huge fan of his, but you got to add Born to Run in there too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I apologize. That was bad on me. Yeah, Bruce needs to be in there.
I'm not a fan, and I don't even really like the song at all. But I have to give credit where credit's due, because I'm sure in an arena, that might be one of the most incredible things you'll ever see. I've
seen Bruce twice, and with the saxophones going off and the band oh my God, that's great. I fully agree with you. And it's just a surprise. It's a nice little surprise. Let's move forward. We're in the first encore, and Ed finishes a bottle, and he says, it's the third quarter, we haven't won this fucking thing yet. Takes a request from Thomas Young, who was in the documentary about the war in Afghanistan. I apologize, I can't remember the name of the documentary at this point, but he was a veteran at the time, and his brother Nathan in the audience as well also served. He had his whole family there. His younger brother Timmy and his mother Kathy was there. And basically, Ed goes on about a little bit about his situation and how I'm just going to bring to Ed why they played this song. Basically, you got to play it.
Sorry, Timmy, I didn't mean to say fuck. I'm sorry. I speak for a man who gave for this land, took a bullet in the back for his faith, spilled his blood in the dirt and the dust, and he's come back to just pray. Oh, he asked of us to stand, and we must end these wars today. With our minds we're staying, no, no, with our hearts we're staying, with our lives we're staying, no more war. With our lives we're staying, no more, with our bodies we're staying, no more, with our voices we're singing, no more war, no more war.
So, Timmy, if you're listening, we've said fuck a couple of times on this show. I know you're a little older, but I hope you're not offended. Okay, so he plays No More for the Young Family, which is an anti-war song, obviously, and it's off of the Into the Wild soundtrack, but it's like kind of a bonus B-side track from iTunes or Amazon.
Yeah, I guess it was like download on our platform, you get the song with it, like an extended copy, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's probably it. Sort of like what iTunes did with Backspacer. I think iTunes gave you like an extra version of the fixer, or gave you the music video to download. So
Yeah, it might have been like the music video. I know they were doing that with a lot of albums back then.
they've only played the song once since 2010, and it's never heard from since. So we go into that, into Comatose, and it's in the correct key, and this version kicks ass. And that's all I have.
That's right, because they were young chickens back then, and they could do it.
Comatose is one of, like, the few, because at this time they were really sort of, kind of like what they did with Backspacer and Lightning Bolt. They were kind of weighing some of the tracks out, like we said. Marker in the Sand out. Gone would be out shortly after this. Army of Reserve didn't get played a lot. Parachute's not played a lot. Big Wave played all the time, right, man?
Well, all the time if you were at that one show in Hawaii or wherever it was that they played it. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I can just see the people in Hawaii that are, like, not really big pro show. Oh, cool, surfing, man.
Yeah,
all right.
cool.
Waves. I like waves.
Cool, Jeff.
So, yeah, but Comatose and Life Wasted have been holdovers, while, Worldwide Suicide hasn't even been that much of a holdover.
Right.
Anyway, Comatose into Grievance, and Grievance is a good unexpected encore track.
Yep.
But if you listen closely, his voice starts like sounds like it's starting to break during the Champagne Breakfast for Everyone part. That's a small critique. It doesn't mean anything. It just means maybe after a couple Chicago shows, he's starting to tire out. But here.
Yeah, I mean, you do back-to-back nights back then, and,
Here's my real question. Why not play this in 2018? They did not play this once this year.
Why not bust this out every year? I mean,
Yeah.
great song,
Make it, it's binaural, so I get that.
It's binaural.
I get that they forget about it, but
We could have used this Fenway Night, too. We could have used something like this that would
I agree. Even that one binaural song would have been fine. But they played it here, and we go into Black, and we don't talk about Black very much because it's Black is Black. But something I realized while I was listening to this version, and I don't know if it's every version that they do it, but we're going to cue up at the end when he's doing the We Belong Together part, and just listen to it and see if you can recognize it. Matt, when you first heard it, did you recognize anything there or no?
No, you had mentioned something to me. I'm still having a little bit of trouble hearing it. I believe that you hear it.
Yeah.
It's not really coming through to me, but why don't you tell them what you hear?
I hear Nutshell from Alice in Chains.
Yeah, I'm still having a hard time hearing it, but
It's there, man. Right?
if you hear it, I sure, but I don't. I'm not hearing it. I think that the songs, like I told you, I think the songs are very similar. So I could agree to that. I could hear that, but as far as like a direct snippet of it, as we might call it, I'm not quite catching up on it.
You know, I thought at first that maybe it was intentional. Listening to it back, it might not be as intentional. So I'm off of that train, but I do think it sounds similar. But I also, like, Nutshell's one of those songs that if I hear anything close to the chords, it sparks in my mind immediately because of how much I loved and still love Alice in Chains Unplugged.
Right.
Out of the 3 Seattle Unplugs, believe it or not, it's Alice in Chains, then Nirvana, then Pearl Jam.
I think Nirvana would probably be my number one because it's
classic.
just kind of
yeah.
legendary.
Oh, it absolutely is. From Black into the Real Me, which was played the night before. This one was played a lot in 2009, and less so as the years have gone by. But we only get one Who song tonight, as opposed to the 2 from the night before. And ending the first encore is Porch,
which has basically moved into the Alive spot that was this night.
Oh yeah, because Alive was the night before. Alive was first encore close. But this is
I'm talking about this night, Alive being first set close.
right. But that night 1, I think Alive was in the spot that Porch is in.
No. I'm saying
what I'm trying to say.
I'm
Okay.
saying basically almost every show in 2018, Porch would have moved up.
Yeah.
I'm talking
you're right.
into the completely different set.
You're right. You're right.
Which is cool. Which, like what we were talking about, the trends. You start to notice new trends.
Sure.
And even though they do shock you with different stuff and switching some stuff up, they do have their ways.
Let's say Porch has a lot in common with the number 18 and 17 and 19, because that's when you see the set list and the numbers and the songs going down, you usually see that's usually where Porch is. And sometimes it can be in the spot where it is here.
Right.
But you're right, 2018, it was mostly in the first set encore. Second encore begins, and Mr. Vedder says, "Do you want some more? Because we got some if you need it." Ha ha!
So you're going to tell that joke every episode.
No, it's because Eddie actually said it this one. I'm not going to ever mention it again.
Oh, so you're a joke stealer.
I'm not a joke stealer. I'm trying to retell history here.
A repurposer.
Sure, yeah. That sounds like my life.
Got it. You gotta recycle. You gotta recycle.
And reuse and reduce and
Sure.
So Eddie talks about Chicago during this part, and it's his home, and whenever he's somewhere else, he wishes he could be back there at the bleachers in Wrigley, or hanging out in Epstein's box in Wrigley, which at the time didn't happen, obviously. He was in Boston, but he got there 6 years later, I would say. And then he wishes that he could have been in Chicago in Grant Park to see Obama get elected into office. So we go to Wasted Reprise, into Better Man, which he lets the whole crowd sing the entire first verse, which is cool, but, it's not much different than any other Better Mans out there, so.
As we said, it's another great performance of Better Man because you really don't get a bad performance, so.
Sure, yeah. Crazy Mary, State of Love and Trust.
2 great songs. I really like this Wasted, Better Man, Crazy Mary, State of Love and Trust. I think
it's fine. It's a little bland to me.
I might have taken Crazy Mary into Encore 1, but I like this grouping.
My problem with it is that if you're not going to do a live here, which they go State of Love and Trust into Fucking Up into Ledbetter. We'll get to Fucking Up in a second. But if you're not going to do a live here, I feel like it should have opened for something really rare and crazy, and it just didn't. I know Fucking Up is not often that they play it, but
I wouldn't add something rare and crazy in Encore 2. If you're not going to do a live in Encore 2, I don't think you should have Crazy Mary there. I think doing that after Better Man, even though the solos and everything, it's a fantastic performance, but if you're not going to do a live in Encore 2 after State and Fucking Up, I don't think Crazy Mary should be in that Encore 2.
I agree that Better Man and Crazy Mary bunched together like that is a lot, because both songs, it takes probably about 15 minutes to get through both songs.
I have no problem with Better Man and Crazy Mary being in there if after Fucking Up they did a live.
Or before Fucking Up they did a live.
But without a live in there, I think Crazy Mary should have either been moved or out.
All right, that's fair.
It slows it down a little bit too much. It breaks up that Encore 2 a little bit too much without having not a lot of time to pick it back up, especially with Ledbetter at the end there. You need a live there if you're going to do Better Man and Crazy Mary in the Encore 2.
Okay, I'm with you there. It's a little bland for me, and they should have put something like extremely rare. They should have started with Smile here. I know they did it the night before, but something like Smile before the Wasted Reprise. But how about a little nod to State of Love and Trust for getting the Alive spot here? That's kind of like getting like one of your old timers and before the game, he's about to retire or something like that, and giving him a gold-plated bat. Here's a nice gift for your time well spent here. That's how I see that.
I have no problem with State of Love and Trust here. I have no problem with State of Love and Trust anywhere.
Neither do I.
But yeah, again, after Crazy Mary, great spot, especially having Better Man and Wasted before that. But again, I'm going to come back to this. You got Fucking Up and then Yellow Ledbetter. That Crazy Mary is still, it's my favorite Pearl Jam live song, but it's really sticking in my side there without a live being in this encore.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
It's just, okay. I hope everyone else understands where I'm coming from too. It's just, like we said, I kind of look at the big picture. So I'm looking at this really, really awesome Encore 2, song-wise, but I'm looking at it from number 24 to 29, and I'm saying it's missing something.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
And that's a live. Unless, like...
What if they did Rearview there?
Perfect.
Like they did, like Rearview into Ledbetter, like that's the bringing together, yeah. Or even just Rockin' in the Free World and Fucking Up into Rockin' in the Free World.
Both of those, yes, perfect.
Or Baba, something like that.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I agree because it does feel a little absent of something.
Right.
But it's Fucking Up, man.
But it's Fucking Up, man.
We got to hear it, right?
Yeah.
We got to hear it. Let's play it. Before they played it, he mentions Phil Jackson and all the banners around there, and he dedicates the song to Rodman, number 91. At some point, I think we're going to get into the Rodman friendship. Now's not the best time, because it's just end of the show here. Rodman's played with them a bunch of times in Wrigley, and we'll get to all that. So Ledbetter and Star Spangled Banner ends the night, and that's the show. That is the show.
That's the show.
Not our show. We got a couple minutes left, but that's that show.
No, that was their show. Well, no, it was our show. We were there. That's one of our shows.
But we don't own it. We gave them our money.
Yeah.
I guess we have a piece of it.
No, we have a piece of it in our heart.
So what would you like to do first? Would you like to talk about the day after a little bit first, or would you like to go into some people's memories and stories? Because I have a couple stories here. Why don't we do the stories first so it can kind of be in order?
What I would love to do first is if we could just both do a quick rating.
Oh, we can do that, sure.
Okay, you want to go first?
Yeah, outside in the pantheon of all the shows that I've been to, it doesn't land in the top 10 because I've seen so much better. It's not an insult to what this show was. It's just I'd seen better, and this was fine. I was very happy with what we got here. But, man, if I gave this a 7, that means I thought it was better or as good as the first night at Fenway this year, which I'm not sure I want to say. But I'm just going to give it a 7 anyway, because I think that's a fair mark.
That's my number 2. It's kind of without question for me. Easy 7. Strong, solid B+.
Okay.
I wasn't at Fenway Night 1, but I would absolutely take this set over that one.
Yeah, I liked Night 1's encore more than you liked,
Right.
So.
The only thing because I love everything on it, the only problems I really have with this set list is I don't like the order of the set.
Yeah, that's lost a couple points.
It's not even that it lost points, because even if the order was fantastic, I still wouldn't give it a 9 or a 10. I think I would probably give it a 7 either way, but I don't want to give it a 6 because of a bad order, you know?
Right.
Because it could be a great order for other people. You and I agree it's a bad order, but we don't agree on the order it should be in, so I'm just going to bring that up. But I still give it a solid 7, Stickmen, B+.
But, I like the experimentation with it. That's why, I don't dock them for, putting a song somewhere that we thought it shouldn't have been, because they're...
Yeah.
At least they're trying. They're trying to go out of their comfort zone. I appreciate them.
Yeah, I'm not going to say, don't experiment with some stuff, which they do all the time. Just, and I'm not taking points away for it either. I just think it's something that I got to say is my opinion. I don't really like the order.
Okay.
Yeah, solid 7. So this one gets a 7 from the both of us.
7s from both. So I have a couple of stories to share, and the first one is going to be the best one. I'm sorry to the other two, but this one you'll see in a sec. This is from Amy Wilk. She says she was lucky enough to have front row, and she was on Stone's side. Got a low 5 from Mike when he crossed the stage, and she never thought she would wash her hand again.
Gross!
She said she spoke with Jill that night and got to say hi to baby Harper. She's 9 years old now.
Wow.
That's a legit, almost teenager now.
We should also stop and think that we are also 9 years older.
Oh, trust me, we've mentioned that a couple of times.
Oof, man.
Yeah,
oof.
Right. So anyway, Harper was wearing tiny and adorable headphones, and she said she'd never forget the night because she lost a diamond out of her engagement ring, as well as flattened it because she was slamming her hand on the barrier so hard.
I hope she has insurance.
She doesn't remember doing it, but that her husband said otherwise, and said that there's a YouTube video somewhere to prove it. Okay, we gotta look for that. We gotta find that.
Yeah, if we can't find it, if anyone out there could find that, send it over to us.
I should have asked her. Well, good thing I know her name. Facebook does wonders these days. The jeweler fixed her ring and said it was great reason to ruin a ring, and it was. So she never wears it. She never wears it to shows. She tells the story everywhere she goes, and she has a wave ring that she wears instead of that now, and it was the first show she ever had these amazing seats. When she picked them up at Will Call, the guy asked her how long she was in the TED Club, and she's been in from the beginning, so looks like it paid off for her. Great story. Thank you, Amy, for sharing that. This next one is from Jeremy, and Jeremy spoke and said...
Is that your real name, sir? Is that your real name?
Of course it is. It's just me being a doofy idiot saying Jeremy spoke. I would hope it's his real name. Anyway, here's what Jeremy spoke in podcast today. He remembers he wasn't planning on going, but then my wife surprised me with tickets for my birthday.
It's a good wife.
Perfect wife, yeah. Happy wife, happy life. Remember the band was on fire that night. Opening with Hard to Imagine was a real treat and set the mood. Two of my favorite highlights were Porch and The Real Me, and Mike was particularly on fire on those two. They've also played two of my favorite tracks from No Code, In My Tree and Present Tense, and both sounded fantastic. Also, Ledbetter is always great when Mike McCready plays the Star Spangled Banner as SPB, I believe. I also enjoy Not For You, Better Man, and they always take them to the next level when they add the tags that are actually tags and not snippets, and just a great set list, and the band was tight overall. Yeah, the band was tight this night. That's something we lost.
They were.
That got lost a little bit in translation. Yeah, the band was really good this night. So they didn't get a 7 for being sloppy like the last one.
No, they sounded great. That was not the problem.
This one is from Bradley P. This is one of our guys from the Fantasy League.
Well, I love Brad. What's up, Brad?
And he says, one thing I'll always remember is being incredibly excited to see them with Hard to Imagine, open with Hard to Imagine. I'd seen it a couple times before, but I think it's great as an opener. In fact, I wish it'd be added to the rotation of opening songs. It has a similar feel as Wash, and I think can play in the same frequency as Wash to keep it feeling a little special. Agreed. Completely.
I think it seems like you and I and everyone seems to agree with that Hard to Imagine opener and it just being added back into rotation. So, yeah, totally agree on this end, too.
Feels special. I mean, the few times that they do play it live, it feels special. But, yeah, they should add it back.
And him saying, especially as an opener, completely agree.
8 times, that's it. So,
right.
Also shocked to see and thrilled to see Brother following set list at the time. I saw it was a possibility since it had been played a couple times recently on tour, but I never really thought I'd get a chance to see it myself, which we did. It was the 6th time ever.
Yeah.
As somebody whose favorite part of a Pearl Jam show is seeing something for the first time, that made my night. If you asked me 10 years ago to list some Pearl Jam songs I thought I'd never see live, Brother would have been towards the top, along with Angel, Let Me Sleep, Strangest Tribes, Bugs, and now all of those songs he's seen.
Cool.
The only other song I saw live for the first time was Fucking Up, which was cool because he's a big Neil Young fan, so neat to see. He loved the Modern Girl tag off of Not For You, which we didn't really talk about much, but again, like we said in the last show, that's a very blender song. It just blends so well.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said the same thing. He kind of missed Alive at the ending of the main set, but Oh no, he says it different. He missed it having it there. We liked it in the end of the first set.
Right.
But it seems to always be used in the second encore to signal to the crew to turn on the lights. But liked it when there were several songs used in rotation to close the main set on the first encore, like Blood, Do the Evolution, Spin a Black Circle, Why Go, Better Man, Life Wasted, all used with Rearview Mirror and Porch to close out the first or second sets. Yeah, that part they don't change enough.
Right.
Nowadays. I think that they should. Like, it's usually Porch first set, Rearview Mirror first encore, Alive combo. They should add the variety to it. Then he talks about the poster a little bit and says he's not a collector, but he liked it because of the Chicago imagery. And Tom Tomorrow. We got that part.
Chicago imagery, it has the skyline in the back, but it also has a giant dickhead attacking people in the foreground. So I'm sorry, I'm not changing my mind.
All right, so here's the one thing. He says that this was the closest thing to a Backspacer show that Chicago got. This show was before Backspacer was released, hence the 2 songs which we mentioned before. And the next time they played in Chicago was Wrigley in 2013, which was right before Lightning Bolt. That was the first time they had played both Lightning Bolt and Future Days at that show. So, and then post, the Lightning Bolt tour, they went to Moline, but they didn't go back to Chicago only for 2 more 2-night sets at Wrigley. So they haven't done album tours in Chicago, which I find really interesting, but they've done big shows and lead-up shows. So in the history of Chicago shows, only a handful of Backspacer and Lightning Bolt shows have ever been played. Have ever been played. Neat, right?
Pretty neat.
Yeah. Cool. So we were in Chicago an extra day, and we got to see the Cubs. got to go to Wrigley. How was that experience? You like that?
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
People talk about these old ballparks. Wrigley Field, wow. I mean, this Wrigley Field was beautiful. I would love to go see another game there again.
I was fortunate enough to go to one more game, a Friday day game, actually, which was kind of on my bucket list. That was before PJ20. And, yeah, our favorite Mets reliever of all time, Aaron Heilman, gave up a grand slam in this game, which was awesome. Good for you. And I remember you bought a Bradley shirt that day.
I did.
I bought a Ryan Theriot shirt because I thought it was really cool that his last name was The Riot.
The Riot, yes.
Yeah, that Wrigley was just such a fun, awesome experience. And not only that, but we're going to end this podcast once we're finished in this next minute or two. We're going to end this podcast. We're going to end it with Eddie's version of the Take Me Out to the Ball Game, which he performed.
Yeah, so we got to go to the game. We got to see Eddie sing at the baseball game, and we got to see him sing drunk as a skunk, as usual.
You got 3 nights in a row. Yeah, you got 3 nights in a row.
I don't know if you count this a third, but we knew he was going to be singing that night, so I think it made us want to go even more.
Yeah.
It was a pretty hilarious, 30 seconds or whatever it was.
All right, I think it's we've been here for a while, and I think this was a really fun, interesting show. A lot of good talking points, but hit the music because I got something to say.
Live on Four Legs is happy to present a weekly podcast dedicated to the Pearl Jam live experience. While we try to get ourselves to as many shows as possible, we have only attended a small fraction compared to the entire live history. That's why we need your help. We want to get to know who you are. If there's a live show that you've attended that you'd like to see us cover in our program, please send us an email at liveonfourlegs, that's the number 4, liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com. We want to know your entire live experience. Did you once miss a flight? Get lucky in the 10 Club lottery? Catch a white whale? Your stories will help us mold this into the best podcast it could possibly be. You're already getting to know who we are. Now it's time for us to know who you are. So, we thank you for joining us on today's show. And next week is going to be good because we don't know what we're doing yet next week.
Oh boy.
If you're listening to this on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, I think Sunday is going to be the cutoff because we need time to prepare. We usually record. Next week we're gonna be doing our first live show. We're gonna be doing it in the same room.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get it done in the same room, right? Yeah, totally. So
yeah, next Tuesday.
Yeah, we could do next Tuesday. So let's make maybe Sunday. We'll let them
Sunday evening. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let them go through Sunday, and then we'll pick whatever wins on Monday morning. So we could get our stuff together.
Works for me. So it's going to be a poll. There are going to be 3 options to choose from. Option number 1 will be Toledo 2004. Option number 2, will it be Amsterdam Night 2 in 2012? Option number 3, will it be Charlottesville in 2013? So there's some pretty good shows to choose from. These are all requests from, and I should say that again, these are all requests from people that were in our fantasy league. So the Toledo show is a request from Jimmy Bendix. The Amsterdam show is a request from Jeff Lilly. And the Charlottesville show is a request from Bradley Piasecki, who we mentioned like 5 times already. And we're going to be doing this more once we go on. We're going to be maybe like once every maybe 5 weeks or so we'll do a poll. And we'll try to, and if you talk to us, continue the conversation and continue letting us know that you're interested and, or donate to Patreon, you'll be the first ones we get in touch with to say, hey, pick a poll option. And, a lot of people have said to us, like, why don't you do PJ20? Why don't you do Moline with no code or Milwaukee with yield? We're gonna get to all those. You just gotta give it time. we're 3 episodes in. We want to build to the big guns. So we're going to get to all those. But I think that's it. Is that it? Is that all we got?
I think so.
That was a good show.
Yeah. We'll get this out for everyone to listen to on Friday, and we hope you guys are enjoying it so far.
Don't know what we'll do, but we'll be here because I miss you already. I miss you always. I miss you all day. Let's hand the microphone over to our 7th inning man, Mr. Edward Lewis Severson.
Alright, I think we can do this. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and crackers and oh, I don't care if I ever get back from this room. Room for the copies if